like to call to order the March meeting of Henry County School Board. This time, we'll have roll call.
Mr. Alter?
Here.
Dr. Duvall?
Here.
Ms. Flanagan?
Here.
Ms. Madden? Mr. Milner?
Here.
Dr. Stanbaugh? And Mr. Zink?
Here.
Thank you.
Next item will be approval of agenda.
So moved.
Second. So motion and second to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor indicate by raising the right hand. Welcome of this. This is one of the few times that I've seen this many people here. Must be something wonderful happening in Henry County tonight, right? I want to welcome you and let you know that any time you're welcome to come to our meetings. We normally have day meetings, but 4 times a year we have a night meeting to allow people that work in a chance to come. So we welcome you again. At this time, we'll ask you all to stand, and Brother Hawkins will lead us in invocation, and Ms. Manning and Betty will lead.
Let us pray. Father, we thank you for the day that you have given to us, for the blessings that we have received. And now, O Lord, we pray your blessing upon this meeting this evening as we gather to honor those who have worked so hard to achieve what they have achieved. And Father, we just pray, in all things we do your will. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The next item, speakers from the floor. Tonight we have 2 speakers listed. We have Mr. Jeff Hodges and Ms. Dorothy Carter. I want to remind you that this is a time for public comment. That means we're here to listen to you, not to engage in a question and answer period or a debate. Upon arrival at the podium, please state your name, your subject matter, and the district in which you live. By coming to the podium, you have agreed that you will exhibit respect for the board and its members, as well as the staff and students of Henry County Public Schools. You will receive the same consideration from the board. Please keep your comments to 3 minutes as much as possible. First, we have Mr. Hodges.
My name is Jeffrey R. Hodges, and I'm here to speak about several situations that I came to speak before you on January the 7th. I didn't speak. I gave you letters outlining what had happened, and I have received a letter back. I do have questions on this letter about your policies and procedures. I'm assuming that y'all read my letters that I gave you on the 7th. Is that correct?
That's a good assumption.
A good assumption. Am I correct in that you read the letter that I was sent by Mr. Cotton?
That's a good assumption.
Okay. This is the questions that I have. In this letter that I got back from Mr. Cotton, he left quite a lot of stuff out of it. The information that I gave you about my granddaughter being spanked by 2 boys in PE class, and then I'd like to know the policy that does not require her parents to be notified of it, because she was not notified of it. My granddaughter, who was spanked by these 2 boys, had to notify her. When she went to school the next day and talked to the principal did not know of it. So nobody knew it. There was 2 teachers that saw her getting spanked by these 2 boys. Now, this isn't inappropriate touching, this is spanking. This concerns me very much. Not only did it happen that time, 2 weeks later, she got spanked again by the same two boys. Now, I am not going to ask you what policies and procedures you followed to make sure that my granddaughter didn't get spanked again. But in talking to my granddaughter yesterday, she still has these boys that have access to her, telling her that they didn't spank her. How is that possible? What policies are you following that allow access to my granddaughter to be spanked by two boys in her class? That's not the only question I have. Now, this happened after that. My granddaughter, who has been touched, she tells me, in class by these two boys before the spankings. But you're following policy procedures. That's what I've been told. You followed every policy and procedure. Now, my granddaughter, because probably she was getting touched and spanked, she made a false threat. Right then, she was taken to the principal's office. She made the false threat to the teacher. The teacher took her to the principal's office. Called the parents. It's kind of funny. They called the parents then, but they didn't call them when my granddaughter was being spanked. And Mr. Cotton, when I had the conversation with him, he told me that the spanking was more concerning to him than the false threat. But yet, nothing was done about the spankings. But you're following your policies and procedures. Now, when my son picked up my granddaughter, he was told that she was going to be suspended for 4 days. And that they could suspend her, and it's in your policy and procedure, up to 10 days. But the principal told my son it's a good thing she's not 7 years old and in second grade, because we could charge her with a felony. Well, not a felony, but could charge her. Now, if you're following your policy and procedure and your suspension, that's not in there at all. It says up to 10 days. Doesn't say if you're 7 years old and in second grade, we can charge you. So what policies and procedures are you going by? Another thing that Mr. Cotton pointed out to me when we had the conversation with him is, did you get your notification? And in your policy and procedure on 34, it says the parents are supposed to be notified of the date, what happened, what the school's going to do about it, and what the parent is responsible for. Didn't happen. In here, this says you followed all your policies and procedures. Obviously, somebody doesn't know what's in their policies and procedures, because that's on page 34 and 35. But according to this letter I got, you're following your policies and procedures. Also, according to this letter, it says, and I'm sure this happens, that the instructions are given, the policies and procedures are given to the parents, and they're supposed to read them, and I know most of them don't, and they sign off on them and give them back. Then he says further that the principal goes over these policies and procedures with all the students. I kind of don't want that principal doing the policies and procedures, but she's saying that you can be charged if you're 7 and in second grade. That's not in any policy and procedure that I've seen. And I've read this over, and I don't see where a parent is not to be notified when their daughter is being spanked in school by other kids. And I do not understand 2 weeks later, after they knew, how these two kids had access to her. And now, since they have moved them to another class, my granddaughter says they come up to her, one of them, not both of them, one of them comes up to her in lunch and on the playground. Now, 2 strikes, the next strike, you're not going to be talking to me. And I'm sure every mother in here or that has a daughter would want to be notified if their daughter was spanked in school by 2 boys.
Mr. Hodges, you're going to have to sort of summarize.
Well, I'm pretty much finished. But this is a CYA letter. This is a joke, is what it is. It basically says that I am not the legal guardian. Well, I'm not the legal guardian. I'm the grandparent. And I think, and Mr. Cotton told me that the principal told him that what I stated was exactly what happened with her. Because I went in and I talked to her. And she kicked me out. Because I talked to her just like I tried to give y'all the opportunity. I gave you letters instead of speaking out. But you didn't do what you needed to do. A couple more things and I'll be out of your hair. Because I'm sure these people are here for good reasons. And I'm here for a good reason too. I don't stand down when somebody does this to my granddaughter. Now, and you can tell I'm upset. And I wish you were upset too. Because I'm sure if it was your granddaughter, your daughter, you'd be doing something about it. Now, the principal, when I went in and talked to the principal, I gave her the opportunity, not for everybody in the office to hear this. So we went behind closed doors. I didn't want this to come out. I know I'm over my 3 minutes. But she kicked me out when I said the SH word. Now, those ladies that were in the office had no idea what we were talking about. They thought we were talking about lice in my granddaughter's hair. But this is what we were talking about. I got one final thing and then I'm gone. Okay? I want to know, because I'm going to be a resident of how do I get on the school board? Because that's where I need to be, is on the school board. Because obviously, if the school board agrees with this stuff and agrees with the way this is handled, somebody with some common sense needs to be on the school board. And that's all I've got to say.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
This time we have Ms. Dorothy Carter.
I'm Dorothy Carter from the Reed Creek District, and I'm here representing Henry County Education Association. I want to talk about our salary and budgets. Since I was a child, I learned that if you save money, that was a good thing to do. It was wise. And if it was invested well, it would gain interest. But for the last few years in Henry County, I've learned a different lesson. I've learned that saving money carries a high interest rate. When the Henry County Board of Supervisors realized how much money Henry County Public Schools had saved, the schools were penalized. And when the school board requested those funds for capital improvement projects, the Henry County Board of Supervisors took approximately a third of those funds that had been promised the year before for its own budget. Everyone at Henry County Public Schools was paying the price for that decision, from students to employees to all of you on the school board. None of us benefited. Neither did the community, but I will address those remarks to the Board of Supervisors. In February, the Virginia Board of Education released its report on the required local effort for K-12 expenditures. The report states, in general, localities must match 45% of the cost for programs that the state deems required. But the state's required programs offer a bare minimum of educational opportunities, insufficient to meet community demand. As a result, every locality in Virginia exceeds the required match for state funds for elementary and secondary education year after year. Localities have exceeded the required match since 2007. The most recent report, released in January, continues this trend of localities contributing far more than required under the funding formula. It's a quote from this document. This is a sad fact, but it is reality in Virginia. Localities realize that to meet the needs of their students and to see the continued benefit of education, they had to pay. We expect localities like West Point, Falls Church, Sussex, Arlington, and Alexandria to be in the top 5. Their cost of living is better than ours. They fund their schools from 149% to 284% over the expectations for their localities. Red Oak City is number 10, funding nearly 146% over the expected match. Our neighbor, Martinsville City, rates number 34, funding their schools at 102% over the expected match. The average local expenditure is 77% over the expected contribution. In comparison, however, Henry County ranks number 121 out of 133 localities, and they pay just 22% over the expected match. I want you folks to know that Henry County Education Association is committed to seeing change in this community. Our students and educators deserve better than what they're getting. We are so committed to this that we now have a team to work on this project. Dr. Cotton is aware of our dedication to this task. We believe that once county money is committed to the schools, that's where the funds should remain. We believe that capital outlay is necessary to the budget. We believe that having a budget that includes all the needs will promote better unity within our schools as we work together to provide the quality education our students need and deserve. From what we've seen of this year's coming budget, it appears to be a good one. It lacks some detail, but from what we can see, it seems to be a fair budget. However, without the capital outlay item or a commitment from our community to leave the state funds with Henry County Public Schools, those dollars are going to come at a high interest rate again, at which all of us will suffer.
We want to thank both of you that commented on the floor, and I'd like to remind those we're prohibited by law from discussing students with a third party. We can only discuss the student's behavior with the custodial parents. Only the custodial parents. Your comments will be taken into consideration, and I'm sure will be acted upon sometime in the future. We move on to awards and recognition. First we have the Magna Vista High School football state champion.
Good evening.
And our presenter on that is Monica Hatch.
It's my pleasure tonight to share several student groups with you, all of whom who have achieved amazing accomplishments in the past several months. We're excited to have them with us this evening. Our first group won a 47-21 battle against Lord Botetourt High School at the Virginia High School League State Championship competition in Lynchburg to win their second state title. And we were very excited to see a large majority of our community present in Lynchburg. There was a lot of Navy, silver, and red that day. We're excited tonight to share those team members with you and allow you the opportunity to congratulate them in person. And I'm going to have Coach Joe Favero come forward, share those players' names with you, and have them come up front to be recognized.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the board for having us tonight and giving these students and the coaches some recognition. We really appreciate it. I'll start with my coaches, Hugo Hughes, Drew Lowry, John Schluter, Bobby Spencer, Joe Fielder, Brandon Johnson, Brad Harrison, Brandon Harrison, and Monty Bernard. Players, Keenan Ellis, Jaquez Harrison, Shiloh McGuire, DeAndre Hayden, Malik Morris, Cameron Penn, Tawan Dotson, Devontae Haley, Jason Scales, Devontae Tinsley, Devontae Harrison, Devin Dillard, Cameron Page, Tristan Dillard, Malik Gravely, Josh Penn, Trey Red, DJ Carter, Austin Perkins, Chris Ross, Devin Johnston, Trey Walker, Jalen Pritchett, Chris Scales, Austin Nelson, Lake Eanes, Parker Reed, Trey Brunson, Rob Grieve, Mateus Spejvar, Kendall Rupert, Keon Taylor, Kentrell Stockton, Kyle Williams, Garrett Joyner, Blake Hankins, CJ Hughes, Jordan Lawson, Josh Agee, Tyshawn Estes, Zach Jones, Alejandro Gonzalez, Herbert Philpott, Isaac Herrera, Cooper Pritchett, Mikhail Hayden, James Rates, Ryder Turner, Austin Spencer, Caleb Carter, O'Brien Pena, Tyler Wilkins, Matt Williams, Corey Turner, Darian Niblett, Londarius Smith, Brandon Hodge.
On behalf of the Henry County School Board, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for the terrific job you did, and more than that, I'd like to thank you for the sportsmanship that you exhibited. Thank you again on behalf of Henry County. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
This plaque, first one,
Okay. And as you pass by, I'd like to shake each one of your hands. Thank you. Thank you. No squeezing on an old man. School board, can we stand and give them a round of applause?
Additionally, we are also very pleased tonight to recognize our Magna Vista High School Raider team. This group, under the direction of their co-captains and their instructors, accomplished their 9th straight title out of 13 competitions, and they will be participating in the United States Eastern Region Championship in April. So we would like to recognize them this evening, and I'm going to ask their instructor to come and call their names and have them come up front for a photo as well.
Sometimes I'm a little too loud. I want to thank the school board for recognizing these guys. It's an honor to be up here in front of you guys and having you recognize the hard work that these students put into it, and which they do all year long. So without further ado, I'll let's stay here. Okay. My co-captains, Victor Cabrera and Travis Matthews, and Santiago Paredes, Jordan and Logan Ramsey, Aaron Colony, and also Brandon Gilly. I got a couple that ain't here tonight. These are the ones that are here. Okay. We'll keep you up there. I should be up there, right? Let's back we at. Come on, people.
need to major too.
Major Court, yeah, come on, Major Court. I got to go.
Once again, on behalf of the school board and Henry County, I would like to thank you all for the terrific job you've done. And, you know, I feel at home here. I wasn't aggressive enough or large enough to play football, but I was able to get an arm.
Sophie.
Come to the mic just a second.
It's my understanding, Sergeant Trudy, that this competition coming up is in Henry County. Is that correct?
Yes, it is, sir, yes.
You would say a little bit about that? Hotel rooms that's been booked and everything for the county?
We have, we actually run a Raider meet in March also, and this Raider meet has been recognized one of the best in 4th Brigade, which is Eastern United States. And so they asked me this year to run the best of the best tournament, which is the best teams from the state all the way from Maryland down to South Carolina, over through West Virginia, and North Carolina, and so on and so forth in that area. And there's going to be the best 3 teams from each state coming here to Henry County on April 16th to compete. Right now we have 45 rooms booked up at the Comfort Inn and about 30 rooms booked up over at the Dutch Inn. We got a restaurant booked for a Friday night to feed all the people, so it is going to be bringing some people into the and some money into the community. And we got probably about 200 Subway sandwiches coming on Saturday too. So, and that's not counting the parent stuff coming in. They bring charter buses in also. So it's going to be a very eventful day at Magna Vista High School on April 16th.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Our next student group tonight might challenge you in your learning and your thinking. They are being presented by Ms. Liz Motley, and they are our spelling bee champions for this year.
Members of the board, tonight I would like to introduce you to some of the best spellers in our elementary schools. On January 14th, we conducted the district spelling bee at Bassett High School. We had 18 participants come, and our winners and our runners-up showed great perseverance and spelling skills. Our first and second grade bee lasted for 27 rounds. The winning word was the word personal. Our runner-up is Mr. Braden Gamble from Drury Mason. If you'll come on up. And our champion is Miss Caitlin Young from Collinswood Primary. Our 3rd through 5th grade bee lasted 6 rounds, and the winning word was hubris. Our runner-up for that one was Taylor Wood from Mount Olivet. And our champion was Josh Luther from Drury Mason.
I want to thank each and every one of you for such a wonderful job that you did. And keep up the good work, okay? Be careful coming down the stairs. Thank you for the wonderful job. Keep on spelling, okay?
I'm going to ask you all to stay down here. We have 2 non-agenda awards that were added to us at a late date, so we would like to share those tonight as well. The first one that I'm excited to share with you is that for the third year in a row, Henry County Public Schools Fast Track Trade Show booth has won an award. And tonight we are very excited not only to share the design of the booth with you, which you can see on the screen behind you, but we especially want to thank the men who make that happen for us. We often go to them with an idea, and they make it a reality. Without them, we could not put on the trade show booth that we have. So tonight, I'm excited to ask Adam and Elmer and Michael and David to come up and be recognized by the board.
When we go back a long way,
Yeah, we've been around a while.
Come on, Mr. Scott. Come on, Mr. Scott. Come on. You're the man behind me.
And if you did read the paper today, they did get cake. Their last words to me on Tuesday were, if we win, we want cake. So they did get cake today.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. And then our last award for the evening, Dr. Duvall is going to share for us.
Can I do that up here?
Absolutely.
Chairman Miller, in view of all the other recognitions that we have made tonight, I think it's appropriate to recognize our Division Superintendent, Dr. Cotton, on a recent honor. I think all of the board members and staff note his recent completion of the requirements for receiving the National Superintendent Certification. It's an honor awarded by the American Association of School Administrators. It's particularly important, I think. Dr. Cotton was one of only 2 superintendents in the state of Virginia this year to receive this certification, and one of only 30 across the entire nation to receive this certification. The process is a long, tedious project. Takes 18 months, I think, to complete. All types of seminars and forums and real life experiences, working with a group. All members, and I know I speak for all members of our board when I say we appreciate his efforts, Dr. Cotton, in taking your time to complete this. And I'm confident that all of our students in Henry County, our instructional personnel, and the community in general will benefit from your experiences there as they will be passed on to the instructional programs here in our county. Again, we thank you, Dr. Cotton, and we appreciate your efforts in receiving this, and we know that our county will be even better as a result. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Behind every good superintendent is a good board.
That's right. One thing that Dr. Duvall did not mention was that Dr. Cotton also won an additional award as part of that conference. He was the AASA top tweeter for the conference that he attended.
I want to stand beside Terry. Boy, she knows what she's doing, doesn't she? She's got 2 cameras. You broke the first one.
Yeah.
Oh, this one's for Twitter.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Sneaky.
Student Showcase Undetermined Project. The presenter is Ms. Emily Rule.
Good evening, members of the board. I'm Emily Roop, and I serve as the assistant principal at Laurel Park Middle School. This evening, I would like to take the opportunity to share with you our I'm Determined project. It supports student self-advocacy among our students with disabilities. Okay, well, mine are in a little different order, but that's okay. Radford GTAC and the youth leaders, we invited them to come down and collaborate with our school in order to build self-advocacy skills for our students with disabilities. Last spring, we started with a mini summit, and they came down and they do team building activities, and we completed the application to attend the I'm Determined Youth Summit, which is held at JMU, and offer our students experience on the college level from the standpoint of dorms and food and time to engage with other students with disabilities. We also, in the fall, invited Sarah Beth Fennell from Gallup to review with our students Strengths Finder, which is a book written by Tom Rath, which identifies the strengths of the students who took a quiz out of the book. This Strengths Finder assessment provided the students with their top 5 strengths, and so often we focus on their shortcomings that I don't think we focus enough on their strengths. So this was a way for them to identify their strengths and learn how to use those to overcome their weaknesses. Together, last month, Laurel Park and FC joined forces. We invited them to come over. We had about 40 students participate in this year's mini summit, which also had TTAC and some youth leaders that came down. They participated in school Laurel Park and FC team building, as well as Laurel Park and FC combined team building activities, completed a one-pager application that consists of students identifying their needs, accommodations, and strengths. And in the fall, we plan to have another Strengths Finder session, also including Phil Collinsville with us, the same students, for consistency. During this event, this is a one-day event held at Laurel Park, nutrition provided us with our lunch, and the students were engaged and really enjoyed the event. There are some of our Laurel Park students that participated in the Strengths Finder session with Ms. Fennell. And then this is the mini summit from the winter. And you can see the students. And what better way to foster success than through the education of the whole child? Our students with disabilities need the extra support, and we did that through the grant funding that we received. We used that as a means to sustain our efforts in this project, and also to pay for our speaker that came in. So it was of no cost per se to the county except for the food, which we appreciate greatly. The students love that. So at this time, I would invite you to watch the video that the students created in order to express to you what they took away from the program.
Taught me about a program that might can change my life and how I think about what I do in the future.
Well, it showed me a lot about myself and about the others around me, and it helps me, I'm
time, I'd like to invite up one of our attendees, and that was Wesley Powell Mullen. One of Wesley. And I also had Miss Destiny Harris, but she's unable to be here this evening. And then his mother, Sharon, also went and attended the conference as well. So if you guys have any questions, he's here to field them. No questions?
Do you have any questions? Do we have any questions? Would you say that this conference was good, on a good level for a lot of people to attend? I learned a lot of things.
Well, yes, I would.
Sounds like it.
It was at James Madison. It was a 3-day summer conference. We stayed on campus and got to eat real college food. That was the exciting part. The first day. And there were a lot of walking, and they separated the parents and the students. And the parents went to classes during the day, and the kids did team building and skill building and learned about life skills and what to do after high school. And the parents learned about what we need to, which direction we need to push them into. And I met a lot of parents with similar children and a lot of parents with quite different children. So I made a lot of friends, and I think Wesley made a lot of friends too.
Great.
Wesley, do you think this is something we should keep doing for all students?
I do agree that this is something that you should keep doing because this could teach other people the very same thing that I learned as described in the video.
You were the star of the video, weren't you? Did a great job.
I'm so happy that you enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to being able to continue that as long as we do. Okay?
Did you want to go?
Thank you for being here tonight to fill us in on what this program actually accomplished. You make a good representative from the group that was there. I hope they all enjoyed it as much as you seem to have enjoyed it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so very much. We will move on to the consent agenda. We have, but before we do that, we'll go back to B. Update on the Meadowview Elementary School project. For those that don't wear tripod, we should try sometimes. You can do a couple of lines.
Mr. Milner, members of the school board, just want to take an opportunity to share just a couple items about the updates for Meadowview. It's pretty exciting. The invitations are out on the street, right? We've been waiting for this moment. They got posted in the Roanoke Times, the Martinsville Bulletin, Dodge Plan Room. But we also, working with our purchasing department here in Henry County, we've sent the invitations to mechanical contractors and general contractors. Typically, we would do just general for a project like this, but our thought process was the more, if we send it to the mechanical, we get the word out more for local contractors here locally. So hopefully get some more participation from that. Let them know it's out on the street in case they've missed the news. And of course, the bids will be back on March 29th, and so that'll be an exciting day to open those. And all goes well, we'll be back in April with a recommendation. So, some things that have taken place. If you've driven by there, you probably saw a pretty good-sized rock sticking out of the top of the pad at that grading area. So that was blasted on February 26th and able to get that below grade, so that all worked out well. If you've never been to, seen something dynamite like that involved in it, don't waste your time. Wasn't as excited as I'd hoped it was going to be. But it worked out in their favor. Everything went well. Between now and the next school board meeting, some things will be done. They're doing some finishing up on the grading project, just kind of dressing up some of the area, finished the construction road. We're going to start removing some trees if all goes well before the construction begins. And then if you approve the relocation of some utilities, some of that will take place also between now and the next board meeting. So, any questions of where we are at this point with Meadowview?
The bids will be open at the administration building?
Yes, sir, here in this room on March the 29th. Yes, sir.
What time?
At 3:30, I believe it is.
Let's hope they're local.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We hope so.
I just hope some of our local contractors will be able to get in on the ground floor and be in there. We need the work.
Great point. And that, again, that was kind of our strategy of getting that word out there. And plus, it'll be mentioned again at our pre-bid meeting, which will take place next week. So.
Okay.
All right.
Anyone else have any questions?
Thank you.
So very
Thank you.
much.
Appreciate it.
Is the pre-bid an answer?
Yes, sir, it is. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Now we'll move along to the consent agenda. And approximately a week ago, you received your packet. And hopefully you've had time to look over it. Items are all approval of the minutes from February 2, public hearing February 4, monthly meeting, approval of bill payment, approval of self-insured health care insurance coverage, renewal of dental insurance, and approval of overnight and out-of-state field trips. We can vote on these all together, or we can pull any items out that you'd like to pull out. What's your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
The motion is second that we approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion? All those in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Unanimous.
Mr. Chairman, if I can make one comment on the self-insurance. I couldn't believe that this is the second year in a row we didn't have a rate increase. That's too good to be true. I noticed other school divisions that are having rate increases, and Dr. Cotton would make a comment on that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so far, we're fortunate that for 2 years in a row, we haven't had to increase our rates, but we have to monitor that closely. Historically, school divisions that do this will have a 1 year out of 5. That's not a good year, and that will affect the rates, but so far, we're in good shape, and we're building up some savings that we're going to have to decide how to use that savings. But all the school divisions that we've talked to, they say they generally wait 3 years before they start using their savings, just to make sure that things continue to run as expected, because all it really takes is a bad year to wipe all of that out. But the other thing that we've talked about is maybe starting to invest more in a wellness program for our employees to really promote healthy living and to continue to encourage that healthy trend that we have right now.
Do you know what percentage or how many school systems in the state now are practicing this self-insurance program?
I don't know that we know that. We can check on that. There have been some surveys done. There's one every couple of years, and we could at least look at the last one and get that.
Has there been a trend to more doing it? Or?
There has been. I was just talking to a superintendent today. They're self-insured, but their rates are going up significantly. So, we've been fortunate with our last 2 years, but I have talked to some of my colleagues, and when they tell me their rates are going up, I said, wait, aren't you self-insured? They say, we are, and our rates are still going up. So, we've been very fortunate, and we're glad that we went this route, because it's paying off right now. Because we haven't had 2 years of no rate increases. We haven't had 1 year of no rate increases in the last several years, so it's a good thing.
Now, we'll move on then to our action agenda. The first item will be approval of revised request for reappropriation of carry forward school system FY 2018 balance. Presenter is Dr. Cotton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I got designated as the presenter because I think our CFO is losing her voice. We are looking at bringing back the carry forward, as I mentioned to you. This is the $350,000 that we had originally slated for OPEB funding, which is the other post-employment benefits. Based on the recent evaluation, we learned that we did not have to earmark that money for OPEB funding, so we would like to bring forward a request for that $350,000. At the last Board of Supervisors meeting, Mr. Hall recommended to hold off on that $350,000 until April before making a decision. He told the Board of Supervisors they wanted to wait until they got further into the budget process, but I feel that we need to present a recommendation now that we're not required to do the OPEB funding. And what we've listed here is an amount for the remainder of Bingle Tech, which we feel confident that with that additional amount, the whole Bingle Tech project can be completed. We don't know for sure yet because we haven't received the actual, we just put out the RFP, correct? So hopefully we'll get that in around $900,000 in that range. We also have the two paving projects that we want to include, and they're both on our capital improvement program, and that's for Rich Acres Elementary and Axton Elementary. And I'd like to ask the board to approve this request so that we can send it to the Board of Supervisors for consideration when they decide what they're going to do with that $350,000.
Haven't heard the background, what's your pleasure?
Move we approve, Mr. Chairman.
Second. The motion is second that we approve the revised request for reappropriation of carry forward school system FY 2015 balance. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Unanimous. Second item would be award of contract for utility relocation for Meadowview Elementary School project. And the presenter for that is Mr. Scott.
Good evening again. The local utilities in that area is going to be necessary for relocation, including the telephone lines and the power lines and the Comcast lines. And so we've received prices from each utility company for relocation of those lines. The AEP will put their lines on poles on the east side, on our side of the property, up pretty high, along with Comcast. And then CenturyLink would bury their lines under the same side of the road underground. Before I get to the point of the price, I do want to make a statement to how great it's been working with Mr. Swisher from AEP and Mr. Spencer with CenturyLink on capturing this information. They've been great to work with here locally, and I do appreciate what they've done with it. So a total price of $85,366.90. I'm asking to recommend the contract to each of these utility groups for that total amount for relocating the utility lines from Meadowview Elementary.
What's your pleasure?
So moved.
Second. Motion is second that we approve the award of contract for utility relocation for Meadowview Elementary School project. Any further discussion?
This completes that so that we come back later and have to move something again.
Right, that's correct. Yes, sir. The telephone lines and the electric and Comcast would be where they're located with this particular pricing is where they would stay. Yes, sir. The only thing we'll be talking about in the future would be sewer line, water line, and natural gas. So.
Any other discussion? All in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is it passable to get in there now and look? I spent some 23 years on construction projects. I'd like to see what's going on.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. What I would ask is maybe contact Mr. Atkins or myself. Dates you want to go out there, and we'll give Brad. I just forgot his last name. We'll give Brad, the local superintendent, his heads up that you're coming. That way, he makes sure all the equipment's out of the way. He's not removing any equipment, and we'll get you the necessary protective safety equipment to go out there with. So.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.
We're down now to the superintendent's report. The first item is superintendent's FY 2017 budget recommendations.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wanted to take this opportunity to present a budget. I know that we've already shared some highlights as we've been working on the budget moving forward. I would like to, at this time, present my budget recommendation, and then I know that we have another meeting where the board will have an opportunity to respond, ask questions, and hopefully approve later in March. With all of our budget presentations, we always make sure we highlight the vision and mission of our school division. You also have copies of the proposed budget that was at your spot when you came up this evening. We also make sure that we talk about our goals and our strategic plan. High quality instruction, high quality professionals, safe and orderly learning environments, as well as innovative and cutting edge technology and family and community engagement. Under Goal 1, we have high-quality instruction. These were our priorities as we started to work on the budget, making sure that we're evaluating instructional initiatives to align funding to deliver a rigorous, relevant instructional program for our students. We also want to make sure we provide those engaging learning environments that our students deserve to prepare them for college, career, and citizenship. And that means a focus on the 4 C's, which we've been talking about quite a bit in Henry County. High-quality professionals. Our priority was to maintain competitive salaries and benefits to support our ability to not only recruit, but retain high-quality staff. And we'll talk a little bit about how that's reflected in this budget. We also feel it's important to invest in professional development to make sure that our staff members are performing at the highest level. Safe and orderly learning environment. Not only do we believe in safety, but we also believe in the importance of creating 21st century learning environments for our students, and we have a strong investment in that area as well. Innovative and cutting edge technology. We need to continue to invest in infrastructure and technology devices that our students need to be locally competitive. We also want to make sure that we invest in our family and community engagement, which you see noted here as well. And there are some budgetary items that relate to this area also. Critical questions that I always pose as we move through this process, and we always look at how do we continue to maintain a high-quality educational program with continued budgeting constraints that we faced over the last several years. Also, a big concern for us is renovating and upgrading our school buildings because, as we've talked about many times, we don't really have a capital improvement budget, and that was mentioned by Dorothy Carter this evening as well. We do have to save in order to tackle capital improvement projects. We also need to make sure we recruit and retain highly qualified staff. As we've discussed in the past, our salary scales need to be at market or above market so that we can retain high quality staff, and you will see a strong investment in making that happen as I go through the budget recommendation here. We also want to make sure our students have the necessary resources available to them today, not sometime in the future, today. We have students in our classroom today who deserve these great resources that we need to provide them. The budgetary requests that are listed here are items that I've included in my budget proposal and recommendation. We are recommending adding an additional ELL teacher to serve English language learners. We are planning for an elementary STEM coordinator, but that's going to come out of Title VI funds, hopefully. We have to apply to use Title VI funds for that particular position, but that position is going to help really increase science, technology, engineering, and math at the elementary level, because what we know is our students need to start early. And you've heard a lot about us talking about teaching students computer science, coding, programming as early as elementary school. So that's important. We're also increasing the Ed and Rec funds for our schools as well as capital outlay. We are proposing adding an additional middle school guidance counselor to be shared between the 2 middle schools. We need an additional one for each middle school, to be frank, but in this budget recommendation, we're adding one, and our hope that as we consolidate the 2 elementary schools, we can add another guidance counselor in the 2nd year of this biennium. Additional days for high school guidance counselors. We know how important those are to have guidance counselors available throughout the summer to serve students and parents, as well as additional funding for required field trips. We want to make sure that funds are available at the school for those opportunities for field trips, and that's included. Probably the biggest area that you'll find in this recommendation, again, these are just highlights of the high-quality professionals. You're going to see a strong commitment to working on salaries. You're going to see the salary adjustment for teachers at the top of the scale. We've determined those are steps 10 through 27 to make those adjustments above market. If you remember, we were not able to do the full adjustment last year due to a lack of funds. So what we'd like to do this year is go ahead and address market on the teacher scale, and that will impact steps 10 through 27. We're also adjusting the beginning of the scale to differentiate teacher rate of pay. No teacher will lose money at all in this scenario. There would just be an increase for some, and what we're doing there is we're differentiating between the first years of employment so that a teacher who's here for 5 years is not making the same as a teacher who just got hired. So we're trying to make some differentiation there in those salaries. Ideally, we need to work on steps, but in the interim, we feel this is a nice way to address the current situation, but we'll certainly have to look at steps in the future. We're also proposing a salary adjustment for all full-time employees of 1.5%. I want to remind the board we did a 1.5% salary adjustment in January. This is an additional 1.5% salary adjustment that we're planning for this budget. We're also adding funds for professional development. That's for teachers to apply for graduate degrees to get reimbursement. We're also continuing the adjustment for paraprofessionals for special education. We're adjusting salaries for LPN and health office assistant positions in our schools. We're proposing a rate increase for bus drivers and bus aides of 5%. We're adjusting coaching stipends back to 09-10 levels, which was a priority for the board. We're adding a payroll position to help us with all of the additional responsibilities for payroll. We're also adding a secretarial position to be shared between human resources and finance. We're adjusting the school nutrition and cafeteria staff salaries. We're trying to determine the percentage, and that will be based on the revenue for this year, but we're definitely building in an increase for our cafeteria workers. So that's important to point out. And that was a part of our multi-year salary plan that I've shared with you in the past. We're also looking under Goal 3, safe and orderly learning environments. We're adding an additional painter that we're really excited about. Now we have 2 painters if this goes through. We probably need 5, but we're happy that we'll have 2. We're proposing combining the preventative maintenance position with the audiovisual positions. If you remember, we wanted both of those positions, but we're going to make that one position that's a shared position in order to balance the budget. We did include the additional funding for our school resource officers. That includes a pay adjustment for them, as well as to pay on the grant at CCL. We have a resource officer at CCL based on a grant. We have a portion of that we pay. We are establishing a middle school athletic budget and helmet replacement plan for high schools. In the past, that's been something that we try to do with leftover money. We're trying to build that into the budget so that we can make sure that we meet those needs. Innovative and cutting edge technology, you see that position there again. It's not another position, it's the same position. But it's going to serve half-time with technology and half-time with facilities and maintenance. We have our systems administrator for the technology department, which is very much needed based on all of our devices that we have in place and the need for us to manage that network. Additional IT position to serve, help teachers with technology to make sure it works, because it does no good if you can't make it work. So we have an additional person to help there. We have additional funds in this budget to address moving all of our devices to a lease. This is going to be a multi-year project. You can't do it in 1 year. You have to do it over the next 3 or 4 years. And our plan is to get every device on a lease so that then they're on a replacement cycle. So every 4 years, our devices will be upgraded. The only way you do that is to build it into your budget. What we've been doing is we lease some things, some devices, but we have to buy other devices with year-end money, and you can't count on year-end money every year. So that's why we're moving to a lease. And of course, as the board mentioned, the need for wireless access points, we're working on that in this budget as well to make sure that students can access those resources. I won't spend a lot of time on this particular slide or the ones after this, but this gives you a cost amount for the different items that are included in this particular budget proposal and recommendation. As you go through, you'll see the bulk of the amount will go towards the salary adjustment for teachers at the top of the scale, roughly $291,000. The other item that will be a costly item for us is the salary adjustments for full-time employees of the 1.5% adjustment. That's over $600,000 listed, and you'll see the additional amount for leasing our technology. Every time we purchase technology, I talk about the importance of a sustainability plan, and I'm excited that we're finally starting to address that plan to make sure that our students have our devices in their hands. You'll also see some positions that we're proposing based on the governor's budget, where he's proposed the opportunity to hire 10 new positions, and if those certainly stay in the budget, these are the proposed positions that we're looking at. I've already mentioned some of these, the ELL teachers listed there, as well as the additional guidance counselor for middle school. You'll also see the director for Bengal Tech is listed, as well as some additional teachers being added to the middle schools, as well as additional teachers added to Magna Vista High School, and then a media paraprofessional at Collinsville Primary that you'll see listed there. If for some reason the governor's budget does not hold true, then we will not be able to fill these positions, with the exception of the director of Bengal Tech. That position, I'm using a teacher position for that particular position, so that would be the only one that we would maintain. The rest of those positions we would not fill if the governor's budget does not come through as proposed. The next slide really gives you a summary of all of these budget adjustments that I've spoken to, and I won't go through those again, but they're there for summary purposes. And you'll see that there's a lot of things that are included. What I'm proud to say is that these items represent the top items from all of the advisory groups that I've met with, to include central office, school board, as well as the parent, student, and teacher cabinets that I meet with. The only exception will be the full-time office assistants. At the elementary schools, there was a request from some of the advisory groups to have a full-time office assistant at every elementary school. I'm proposing 2 full-time office assistants at our largest 2 elementary schools. And my reasoning for that is really it should be based on the number of students that are being served in the school. And the other thing is, my concern is if we add a position to all of those schools, if we have to cut the budget, that's one of the first places we're going to have to go to cut positions. So I recommend that we start with serving the largest elementary schools first, and then we can determine later if we need to make adjustments. The next slides really show you the expenditures, which really goes through and provides the change throughout. I just want to remind everybody that the 2016 number represents the approved budget from last year. It does not include the adjustment that we received, that we did in the middle of the year, the salary adjustment that we did at 1.5%. So some of the changes you'll see seem a little higher than you expected, but that's because we report the approved budget, not the adjusted budget, because you know we did receive those funds in January to apply toward the salary adjustment. The other thing that I point out is the expenditures, and you see the largest piece of the pie is instruction. That is going to always be the largest portion of our expenditures. And then what you'll see also are some of the other areas that are much smaller, in particular some of the administrative areas, like administrative and attendance and health. You see it's just a fraction of the overall budget. A lot of times people think that sometimes we spend a lot of funds in one particular department or area, but the bulk of it is instruction, and that's in teachers and staff serving our schools. When we look at our revenue projections, we are basing our budget on a projected enrollment of 7,020 students. As I've shared with you before, we're basing this on the governor's proposed budget. There is a budget proposed now from the House and the Senate, and we've looked at both of those and done some rough numbers. It looks like if either one of those go through, then we'll make less money. We'll get less money in our budget, and we'll have to make adjustments at that time. But what typically happens is the final is some version of all of them together. So it's still early to tell how that's going to end up. But we are looking at increased funding, as I've shared with you before, after we factor in the 1.5% raise that we've implemented. The only additional funds we're asking for from the county. This time we're asking for level funding with the exception of the request for debt service for Meadowview Elementary. And we're estimating that cost to be $777,084, as noted here. But that's our request, that the county provides funds for the debt service. And that's a projection based on what we estimate the additional loan amount to be after we get our below budget, right? Our below budget estimates is what we're looking for. So when you look at revenue, this is just shows you the pieces of the pie where all of our funds come from. The majority are from the state. A percentage comes from federal and state grants, which we're planning for level funding in those areas. And then you see the amount from the county that's listed there. And then, of course, you see the revenue summary that's included here in this presentation. So, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, this is my budget recommendation. Certainly would be glad to answer any questions that the board has at this time. But I want to remind you that we do have a meeting on March 17th. We're all going to wear green for St. Patrick's Day to hopefully approve the budget at that time. We did have another meeting scheduled for a week after that I'm proposing, and I've talked to Mr. Milner as well as Mrs. Maddox about proposing that meeting not happen because I plan on waiting to present the budget on March 17th, but since we're presenting it now, then I feel that we can do the budget meeting on the 17th for approval and not have the meeting on the 24th that was originally scheduled. So that would be my recommendation at this time. We're a little ahead of the game, so I figured that we should go ahead and take advantage of that opportunity. You also see some other important dates where the budget is due to the county as well as the county budget approval as well as their public hearings that I know many of you attend and sometimes speak at as well. I want to make sure that you have that on your radar screen. At this time, I'll be glad to answer any questions from the board, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, I am pleased with this proposed budget, and I'm very thankful that Richmond has given us some more money this year. If you remember, Dr. Cotton, you and I came in at the same time 4 years ago, and we had to cut $2 million out of the budget. I think we cut about 25 positions, and that was not a pleasant thing to have to go through. So I'm very, very thankful that this budget we've got extra money instead of having to cut.
Also, for the benefit of the public, each school board member have come in and had a sit-down talk with Dr. Cotton and the finance officer over the past month. So we've each reviewed this individually. You're not just seeing it now. And also, I was really happy listening to the governor the last time we were up there, and that he decided, giving us money, he would let us decide where to use it rather than them dictate from up there where we should spend the money. Because who's in a better shape to know where it's needed?
Yeah, there have been some proposals where you can take the funds for the additional positions and decide how you want to use it. And if that's the scenario, then we'll still use it the way that we proposed it here. Because we desperately need additional positions in some of our secondary schools, our middle schools, as well as one of our high schools, as I mentioned back in this.
I certainly would agree with what Mr. Sayers said, having served on the board for 8 years now, and going through some very tough and sometimes adversarial budget situations. This is in the positive area, in lots of different areas. I know a year or so ago, I guess we all agreed we need to make a concentrated effort to address our salary scale inequities, and we did a part of that last year. This one continues that, and also sets in motion a little bit addressing the other end of the scale. I'm very pleased with the budget that Dr. Cotton and his staff have prepared and presented, and can only hope that it will go through as
too. And I failed to mention as I went through the highlights, but we are including a mentorship program that I'm excited about. We're trying to enlist 100 mentors from the community. And Reverend Milner, it's good to see you here because we're going to be knocking on your door. He's not listening to me. We said we're going to be knocking on your door for some mentors. We're talking about a mentoring program. We've been looking at partnering with our churches as well as our businesses to get some strong mentors for our young people in the community and from the community. So more on that, but I'm excited that that's included in our proposal.
Having heard the discussion, what's your pleasure?
We're going to meet on March 17th.
Yes. So we'll come back for approval on March 17th. Okay. But if there are any questions or concerns that you have between now and then, you know what, feel free to reach out and we'd like to answer those.
You had mentioned if either of the two budgets now in the House and the Senate follow through to completion, there would have to be some cuts.
There would, but not significant. We've just done a very preliminary look, and I don't want to put that number out yet because literally today we did an analysis, but it's not a significant amount. It is a decrease, but not significant. We've looked at all scenarios, and obviously we have to make adjustments. But
So there are priorities in place then.
yes, we go back to our ranked priorities and make some adjustments. But fortunately, it's not significant. If it was significant, I'd be very concerned. But we like to keep this one because this one apparently gives us the most. The governor's proposal, so that's one we want to keep.
Once again, please remember the special meeting on March the 17th for approval. We'll move along now to the superintendent's monthly highlight report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have some highlights to share from February. The first one, celebrating our heritage. Students at Axton Elementary participated in an African American History Month program as part of our district-wide celebration. SCA members began the program by reading an excerpt from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech prior to the storyteller, Fred Motley, entertaining students with African folktales, courtesy of Piedmont Arts Association. Fit Mind and Body. Campbell Court recently hosted a Fit Mind and Body family night for students and their families. Stations were set up to engage students and adults in reading, math, critical thinking, and artistic expression. In the gym, games were set up to encourage exercise as well as educate participants on the importance of a healthy lifestyle. Door prizes were given away throughout the night, and the grand prize being a free 3-month membership to Planet Fitness. How come I didn't know about this? All right, NFL night. Drew Mason Elementary recently hosted an NFL or National Family Literacy night with a Super Bowl theme. Students were able to engage in games and reading activities led by football players from Magna Vista High School. Many of them who are here this evening. Rave reviews. Third grade students at G.W. Carver Elementary presented a program entitled Famous Americans for parents and classmates during the month of February. The program reviewed Americans and the contributions they made to make our country great. Highlighted Americans included Jackie Robinson, Rosa Parks, Thurgood Marshall, Martin Luther King Jr., Cesar Chavez, and George Washington. Shared knowledge. Fifth graders at John Redd have been collaboratively reviewing proper and improper fractions by using Memory Match in February. Using dry erase boards and IXL, which is that program that you all got to test yourself on not too long ago, the first student in each group to answer a problem correctly became the group leader to share his or her experience as the group solved the next problem. Math in motion. Fifth grade teachers at Mount Olivet use movement to teach and practice the order of operations in math this month. Via the Smartboard, students learned song and dance steps to help them remember how to solve equations correctly. Students put their knowledge into practice with the classroom snowball fight. They tossed balls of paper containing equations across the room and solved those landing near them. Great strategy. Build to Express. Students and their families enjoyed collaborating and building creations using Legos at the recent Lego night at Rich Acres Elementary. their own structures. Students then presented their creations to the audience and explained what they built. And I heard they had over 100 participants that night, so great turnout. Change for a Cure. Students at Sanville Elementary have spent the last 3 weeks bringing in their spare change for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. All of their change added up to $1,329.91. What a difference even pennies can make. Students here are pictured with their collection boxes, and they are sitting under the classroom meters that kept up with each class's progress. Partnering for Success. Stanley Town's PTO recently sponsored an event entitled Parents as Educational Partners. Teachers share tools and activities that can be done as a family to improve student skills. Songs that help with memorization of math facts, such as multiplication tables, were sung together, and parents and students were encouraged to practice these together. Computer programs and iPad apps that give practice problems in the areas geared to the student's level of understanding were demonstrated, and approved websites for learning were showcased. Cooties in the classroom. Students in Mrs. Landers' 7th grade science class at FC Mill discovered cooties roaming in the school, took them to science, and created a dichotomous key to assign a species name for each creature. Students collaborated in groups to build the cootie, and then groups of 4 to write the key for a cootie pair. Students were excited to share their new creature names created using binomial nomenclature. Developing Student Advocates. A group of 40 students from Laurel Park and Fieldale Collinsville Middle Schools participated in the self-discovery and self-advocacy workshop last month at Laurel Park. The workshop allowed students to identify and familiarize themselves with their strengths, interests, and needs. Students participated in a variety of activities and encouraged self-assessment and reflection. Each participant developed a one-pager that highlighted their strengths and sought to encourage self-advocacy skills into their academic learning. Of course, you heard about this program tonight. Congratulations to the following. The Creed Speaking CDE is for FFA members in grades 7 through 9. The event boosts self-confidence and develops the student's ability to communicate in a powerful, professional manner. 7 7th graders competed in the FFA Creed Speaking CDE at Laurel Park this year. Michaela Kreider won first place and will advance to the FFA Southside Area Level Competition on April 6th in Chatham, Virginia. She is pictured here with second place winner Lauren Wade. 2 Bassett High School students earned top honors at the recent state Beta Convention. Spencer Coger won the state secretary office for Virginia Beta Clubs and is now eligible to run for the National Beta office in New Orleans in June. Josh Doss won first place in the state for social studies academic competition. He is also eligible to compete at the national level in New Orleans in June. Congratulations to Magna Vista Beta Club members who attended the Virginia State Beta Convention held in Williamsburg. Each of the award winners is eligible to attend the National Beta Convention in New Orleans in June. Matthew Mills won first place in recyclable art. Delinda Wynn won first place in sculpture. Maria Chavez won first place in banner for the 2nd year in a row. Sullivan Higgins won first place in social studies. Valdez won first place in Spanish. Tyler Bray won second place in spelling. And Haley Warren won first place in agriculture. 6 Bassett High School students have earned top honors in the Scholastic Arts Awards Southeast Region at Large program. Bree Ferguson and Aaron Gerganis won Gold Key Awards. Aaron Gerganis, Candace Hines, Haley Holcomb, and Trinity Motley each won a Silver Key Award. Marissa Bryant and Haley Holcomb earned honorable mentions. Gold Key winning pieces will be moving to the national level, where they will compete against other Gold Key winners from across the country. Lots of great things going on in our schools. Mr. Chairman, that completes my highlights for February. I'd be glad to answer any questions the board has about the other items listed in my section here.
Superintendent Monday highlight reports. Do you have any questions? Do you have any questions on the receipts and expenditures? Managing facilities, membership report, discipline summary report, or fundraisers approved by the superintendent. If there are no questions, we'll move on to matters from the board. There's no First will be on the 15th of March. We'll have our Teacher of the Year, Chatham's Country Club, 6 p.m. 17th, we'll have the budget meeting, which we just previously discussed earlier. 25th and the 28th, the school board office will be closed. Spring break, March 25th to April 1st. Friday doesn't snow tonight. April the 7th, our next monthly meeting. 14th of April, art show reception. April 18th, board of supervisors public hearing. April 21st, retirement dinner. I won't name them all because we're going to move on in April. And also, on a state level, we have the SBA Hot Topic Conference on March 16th, Charlotte Whitfield. April the 9th and 11th, the SBA Conference in Boston, Massachusetts. I understand we have one school board member that will be attending that. April the 13th, Blue Ridge Regional Spring Networking Forum in Jackson Park Inn, Pulaski, Virginia. That's the one Mr. Sprague will give us a good art for. April the 26th, the VSB Hot Topic Conference in Charlottesville. Nothing else, we'll move on into closed session. We'll go into closed session to discuss Code 2.2-3711, Grant A, Grant 1 of the Code of Virginia, appointment and separation of personnel. B, Code 2.2-3711, Grant A, Grant 2, Code of Virginia, student matters. And C, Code 2.2-3711, Grant A, Grant 7 of the Code of Virginia, legal matters. We entertain a motion to go into closed session to discuss those.
So moved.
Motion second that we go into closed session to discuss the items previously mentioned. Any further discussion? Not all those in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Unanimous. This time we'll return to regular session once we receive a motion and such.
Second.
Motion second that we return to regular session. All those in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Unanimous. At this time we'll have certification of closed session.
Whereas the school board of Henry County has convened a closed meeting on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act. And whereas Section 2.2-3712.d of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by this school board that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now therefore be resolved that the school board of Henry County hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, or considered. Mr. Alker?
Yes.
Dr. Duvall?
Yes.
Ms. Flanagan?
Yes.
Mr. Milner?
Yes.
And Mr. Zay?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. At this time we'll entertain a motion of closed session. First one being approval of the personnel report plus addendum.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the personnel report and the personnel report addendum as presented.
Second.
Motion is second that we approve the personnel report and addendum as submitted. All in favor indicate by raising the right hand. Unanimous. Next we'll have motions out of closed session. First one we'll have is student case 52-R.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I move in student case number 52R that the expulsion be lifted and the student be allowed to attend the Center for Community Learning for the remainder of the 2015-2016 school year.
Second. Motion is second that we allow student case 52-R to be readmitted to our school system. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Next we have student case 8RE-16.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, in student case number 8RE-16, I move that the student be released from compulsory attendance under section 22.1-254B.1 of the Code of Virginia based on the affidavit or declaration submitted to the school board.
Second. Motion is second that we allow student case 8RE-16 religious exemption as requested. Any discussion? All in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carried. If nothing else claims our attention, is there anything else? We'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved. Second.
Motion second that we adjourn. All in favor indicate by raising your right hand.